In the vast, untamed wildernesses of North America, whispers of a mysterious creature have echoed for centuries. A giant, ape-like being that walks on two legs, leaving behind footprints too large to be human. We call it Bigfoot, or Sasquatch. For most, it's a creature of folklore, a legend whispered around campfires. But for a few, it's a very real and sometimes heart-wrenching reality. Today, we delve into one of the most poignant and debated stories in the annals of cryptozoology. The tale of a baby Bigfoot, allegedly separated from its family, and its painful cries that pierced the forest stillness. Our story takes us deep into the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, a known hotspot for Bigfoot sightings. The year was 1997. A group of experienced hikers, let's call them Mark and Sarah, were on a multi-day trek, far from any marked trails. They were seasoned outdoors people, familiar with the sounds of the forest, the call of birds, the rustle of deer, the distant howl of a wolf. But on the third night of their expedition, they heard something that defied all their experience. It started just after dusk, as an eerie silence fell over the woods. Then, a sound unlike any other began to echo through the trees. It wasn't the cry of a bear cub, nor the shriek of a mountain lion. It was a high-pitched, mournful wail, filled with a sense of desperation and sorrow that was almost human. Sarah later described it as the sound of a child crying, but with a power and a guttural quality that sent shivers down her spine. The sound was intermittent, a series of long, drawn-out calls that seemed to be searching for a response that never came. Mark, being the more pragmatic of the two, initially tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a strange bird, or the wind, playing tricks on them. He grabbed his high-powered flashlight and cautiously scanned the perimeter of their campsite. The cries grew louder, seemingly closer. It was then that they both felt it, a deep, resonating vibration in the ground, as if something incredibly heavy was moving nearby. The air grew thick with a musky, unpleasant, although often reported in close proximity Bigfoot encounters. Fear began to creep in, but it was mingled with an overwhelming sense of pity. The cries sounded so utterly lost and heartbroken. It sounded like a young creature, calling out for its mother, for its family. In the vast, dark wilderness, they stayed awake all night, huddled in their tent, listening to the sorrowful calls that continued until the first light of dawn. They never saw what was making the sound, but the experience left an indelible mark on them. This isolated incident could be easily dismissed, but it's not the only one of its kind. Similar accounts have emerged from different regions over the years. In the early 2000s, a hunter in the Sierra Nevada mountains reported a nearly identical experience. He was in his deer stand when he heard what he described as a simian-like sobbing. He felt a profound sense of sadness listening to it, believing he was eavesdropping on a private moment of grief for a creature he couldn't see. So, what are we to make of these stories? Are they simply misidentifications of known animal calls, amplified by the fear and imagination of being alone in the woods? It's certainly possible. A cougar's scream can sound eerily like a woman's, and the calls of a barred owl can be quite strange. However, experienced woodsmen and hunters, like the witnesses in these accounts, are typically very familiar with these sounds. They insist that what they heard was different, something primate-like and filled with an intelligence and emotion they could unattribute to any known North American animal. The concept of a baby Bigfoot raises fascinating questions. If Bigfoot exists, it must be a breeding population. That means there are males, females, and, of course, young. A juvenile Sasquatch, separated from its family unit, would be incredibly vulnerable. It would likely do exactly what any lost young primate would do: cry out for its parents. These cries would be a beacon, a desperate attempt to reconnect with the safety of its troop. Skeptics argue that if baby Bigfoots exist and get lost, why haven't we ever found one? Why no bodies, no remains? This is the central conundrum of Bigfoot research. Proponents suggest several possibilities. Perhaps the family groups are incredibly efficient at retrieving their lost young, or maybe their deep forest habitat, combined with rapid decomposition, means that any remains are quickly reclaimed by nature before humans can stumble upon them. It's also been proposed that these creatures are masters of stealth, even from a young age, and that their social structure is so tight that becoming separated is an exceedingly rare and tragic event. Let's consider the emotional impact of these accounts. The witnesses don't just report fear. They consistently report a feeling of profound sadness and empathy. They feel like they've stumbled upon a family tragedy in the animal kingdom. This emotional component is what makes these stories so compelling. It shifts the narrative from a monster hunt to a story of a struggling, intelligent species trying to survive, hidden from our view. The sound itself is a key piece of evidence. Audio recordings, like the famous Sierra sounds, feature complex, language-like vocalizations that have stumped audio experts. While many recordings are hoaxes, some have resisted easy explanation. The sounds described in these crying baby encounters match some of the higher, more plaintive calls captured in these recordings. Could these be the vocalizations of a juvenile? Imagine being that young creature, alone, scared, as darkness falls in a world full of predators. Its only hope is its voice, a desperate call sent out into the void, hoping for the familiar, comforting response of its family. The thought is truly heartbreaking. It humanizes the legend, transforming Bigfoot from a shadowy monster into a being with family bonds, emotions, and the capacity for suffering. Whether you're a staunch believer or a hardened skeptic, these stories force us to look at the wilderness with a renewed sense of wonder and respect. They remind us that there may still be profound mysteries hidden in the deepest corners of our world. The painful cry of a baby Bigfoot might just be a figment of our collective imagination, a campfire story that speaks to our own fears of being lost and alone. Or it could be a genuine echo from a world that exists just beyond the edges of our own, a world of giant, gentle primates who grieve, who love, and who sometimes cry out for their family in the night. What do you think? Have you ever heard an unexplainable sound in the woods? Could these be the cries of a lost, young Sasquatch? Let us know your thoughts and your own experiences in the comments below. We love hearing from you. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the unknown. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration. Until next time, keep looking up.